Hello, everybody. This is John Ross, and I am here to walk you through how we can translate a number from its word and or expanded form into its standard form. For our learning objective today, we have I can read and write large numbers through 999,999,999 in standard form. For our activator, we have an image or a table rather that is filled with some mathematical language. And so we have the number 4,388 that has been represented in four different forms. That number has been represented in its standard form, it's been represented in its model form, expanded form, and its word form. Now, most of us are most familiar and comfortable with a number written in its standard form. However, we know that numbers can also be represented by using models, including base 10 blocks. And so for this number, in its model form, we have used 4 cubes, which represents 4 thousands, 3 flats, which represents 3 hundreds, 8 rods, which represents 8 tens, and then 8 units, which represents 8 ones. And so, as far as its expanded form is concerned, we can recall that to write a number in its expanded form, we basically need to note the value of each of the digits. And so this 4 has a value of 4,000. This 3 has a value of 300. This 8 has a value of 80. And this 8 has a value of 8. And so once we have those values written out, we can place plus signs in between the value of each digit, and we have at that point constructed the number in its expanded form. And finally, we have the number written in its word form. And the way that we write a number in its word form is how we actually read that number in standard form properly. So we read this number properly as 4,000, because I have a 4 in my thousands place, 300, because I have a 3 in my hundreds place, 88, because I have an 8 in my tens place and an 8 in my ones place. And so today, for our learning objective, we noted that we were going to work on translating numbers up to 999,999,999 from either its word form into its standard form or its expanded form into its standard form. So here we have the number 53,560, which has been written in its word form. Then we have its expanded form, 50,000 plus 3,000 plus 500 plus 60. So again, to write a number in its standard form from its word form and or expanded form, one of the first things that I like to do is simply place 9 blanks side by side with commas separating the periods as shown here. And so this is our ones period. Here we have our thousands period. And here we have our millions period. Once we have done that, we can begin to identify which, or where rather, we should place the digits that are given to us in word form and expanded form. So it's probably a little bit easier to just simply pull the digits from the expanded form. Here we have 50,000, and so I know that that 5 has a value of 5 10,000s. And that 5 needs to go in the 10,000s place. And so what I need to do is identify where that 10,000s place is. Here I have my ones, my tens, my hundreds, my thousands, and my 10,000s. So I put my 5 here, and here I have 3,000, and so that 3 is in the thousands place. So I need to again identify where the thousands place is. I got my ones, my tens, my hundreds, my thousands. Put a 3 there. Here I have a 5, which represents the value of 500. And that 5 needs to go in the hundreds place. So I've got ones, tens, hundreds. Place my 5 there. And here I have 6, which is my digit of value here, and is used to represent 60 or 6 tens. And so I need to put my 6 in the tens place. And that's all I have, all the pieces of information I have right here, because I do not have a digit of value in my ones place, or in my 100,000s, my millions, my 10 millions, or my 100 millions. So here in the ones place, I'm going to go ahead and put a 0. And for these spaces over here, I don't need them because beyond the 10,000 place, I do not have a digit of value. So I can just simply cross those places out, or erase them if I wish. For our next I do, we have 940,209 written in its word form, and then we have that number written in its expanded form as well, which reads as 900,000 plus 40,000 plus 200 plus 9. So here, again, I want to start out by placing 9 blanks. And I do that because I know that I'm not going past my millions period. Now over here to the left, there is a billions period, but in 4th grade, we're not moving beyond our 100 millions place. So now what I need to do is identify what digit should I start out with. Well, the first word is 9 here in my word form, and that is 900, specifically 1,000, and that is shown here, 900,000. So I need to identify where my 100,000s place is. So here's my ones, my tens, my hundreds, my thousands, 10,000s, 100,000s. So I will start out by putting a 9 here, and then I move on to my next digit. So that was 900, and it wasn't just 900,000, it was 940,000. So I know that I need to put a 4 in the 10,000s place because it's not 4,000, it's 40,000. So I need to identify where the 10,000s place is. Ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000. So I put a 4 there. I do not have a digit of value in my thousands place. I simply have a digit of value in my 100,000s place and my 10,000s place within the thousands period. And that is also shown here as we go from 900,000 to 40,000. And then we skip the thousands place and jump straight into the hundreds place. So here in my thousands place, I'm going to put a 0. I'm going to move on to my hundreds place. I do have a digit of value in my hundreds place, and here we can see that it is a 2 that should go in that hundreds place, and that is also shown and reflected here. So I'm going to place a 2 there. I do not have any tens. I jump from 200 into my ones place, which is represented by a 9. So in this tens place, since I do not have a digit of value, we can see here again, 200 plus 9, there's no tens, so I'm going to put a 0 here. And then I'm going to finish off with a 9. And I do not need any of these blanks here, so I could erase them or just cross them out, as well as that comma, since we don't have a digit of value in the millions period. Next, we have another number which has been given to us in its word form as well as its expanded form. And again, the first thing that I want to do is I want to place 9 blanks with 2 different commas to separate the 3 different periods. And so I have my ones period, I have my thousands period, and then I have my millions period. And so I want to start out with my largest digit of value, which is a 1. And I can, as I read through this word form, I can note that that 1 is in the millions period. And that first little bit reads as 165 million. So that's 100 million. So I need to identify where my 100 millions place is. And so here I have my ones, my tens, my hundreds, my thousands, my 10,000s, my 100,000s. Then I have my millions, my 10 millions, and finally my 100 millions. So I'm going to place my 1 here. And I still have a couple blanks in my millions period. That's my 10 millions place and my millions place. So here I have 165 million. So I need a 6 to go in my 10 millions place and a 5 to go in my millions place. For this next period, I have 322,000. So I'm going to place a 3 in the 100,000s place and a 2 in the 10,000s place, a 2 in the thousands place. And at this point, I'm crossing into my ones period. And I can see both here, but also here, that I do not have a digit of value in my hundreds place. We just simply jump into 40, as is shown here in word form, but also expanded form. So I'm going to put a 0 here in my hundreds place, a 4 in my tens place, and finally a 5 in my ones place. And so our number that we just converted from both word and expanded form into standard form is 160,322,045. For our next I do, we have another number that has been given to us in its word form, but also its expanded form. And so, as is the case, just for at least us beginners, it might be wise to continue to put those blanks as a starting place. And I need to identify where I should begin building my number in its standard form. Well, here I have 50, specifically 1,000, which is also shown here, 50,000. And so I know that I need to start in my 10,000s place. And so here I have my ones, my tens, my hundreds, my thousands, my 10,000. So I'm going to put the digit 5 here. But it wasn't just 50,000, it was 51,000, as is also illustrated here in the expanded form. And so I'm going to place a 1 here to the right of the 5. And now I'm crossing over into my ones period. And I have the digit 2 that should be placed in my hundreds place. I have 60, as is shown here, and that's 6 tens, so I should put a 6 in my tens place. And then finally I have 9, and so that 9 should be placed in the ones place. So this number, which was given to us in word and expanded form, has now been written in its standard form, and it reads as 51,269. Next, we have another number to convert into its standard form. So again, just for our sake, since some of us may be beginners here, I'm going to place my 9 blanks with my 2 commas separating my periods. I have my ones period, my thousands period, and my millions period. And I'm going to start out by reading the word, the first word, which is 7, and I'm going to note that that 7 is in the millions period, and that is also shown here as we move from the ones period into the thousands period, and finally that 7 goes in the millions period. I can also note, check this out here, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 zeros, and so the 7 is found basically 7 place values away from where our decimal would go. And so I can note that I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So this is the 7th place value, and that is 7 million. And I now cross over into my thousands period. I can note both here in expanded form but also in word form that we do not have a digit of value in the hundred thousands place. So I can put a 0 here. I start out with 50,000, as is shown here. So I need to put a 5 in my 10,000s place. Then I have a 3 in the thousands place, so I need to put a 3 there. Then I have 635. So I need to put a 6 in the hundreds place, a 3 in the tens place, and a 5 in the ones place. So that number that we just converted reads as 7,053,635. And finally, we have our last I do, which again, we have a number given to us in both its word and expanded form, and we need to convert it into its standard form. So I'm going to start out with 9 blanks filled or separated by 2 commas, breaking those periods apart. And I want to start out with my first digit of value, which is a 5. And I can note that that 5 is found in the millions period. That is 586 million. Here we have 500 million plus 80 million plus 6 million. So within this millions period, I'm going to put a 5 in the 100 millions place, an 8 in the 10 millions place, a 6 in the millions place, and now I move on into my thousands period. And so I'm going to read here and see that this is 239,000. So the way that I just read that tells me the order I need to place my digits. That's 2 in the 100,000s place, 3 in the 10,000s place, and 9 in the thousands place. And that is shown here as well, with 200,000 plus 30,000 plus 9,000. And finally, I am in my ones period, and in word form I have 462, which is also shown here with 400 plus 60 plus 2. So that tells me in my hundreds place I need to put a 4, in my tens place I need to put a 6, and in my ones place I need to put a 2. And so we just converted a number from word and expanded form into its standard form, and that number reads as 586,239,462. So at this time, I'm going to invite you to go ahead and move on into your independent practice, which is found in Schoology.